Welcome to the Safety, Health and Environmental presentation. This is a contribution for January 2025. In these short presentations, which are available to the whole of the university community, we will be discussing a few topics related to safety, health and the environmental. In these presentations, we are going to be tackling a safety aspect, a health aspect, and an environmental aspect. The content of this presentation is as follows: road safety awareness, skincare awareness, littering, and the environmental impact. So let's delve in. First, let's examine road traffic safety, which helps prevent road users from being killed or seriously injured. Typical road users include pedestrians, cyclists, motorists, passengers in vehicles, and passengers in public transport, mainly buses and taxis in South Africa. Additionally, it encompasses any other road user who may get injured while using the road system. All roads have a speed limit, which must be followed, that ranges between 60 kilometers per hour on urban roads, public roads, and 120 kilometers per hour on most freeways. The challenge can be because of the road users' behaviors, like driver haste, driving at high speeds or over the limit, erratic driving, by changing lanes, dangerous overtaking are some examples. Driving and pedestrians using the road system under the influence of drugs and alcohol, using a cell phone while driving. One of my pet hates, for those of you who don't know me, is obviously people texting while driving. Can't deal. But there are also some other issues that contribute to motor vehicle accidents in our environment, such as infrastructure failure and maintenance that has not been done, that can lead to accidents and damage to vehicles. Road safety and adhering to the law. Driving or walking in a roadway under the influence of drugs and alcohol, as previously mentioned, is also not very ideal. Because when we're under the influence of drugs and alcohol, we may not realize that there's a danger to ourselves, or we may be willing to take chances that may not necessarily be advisable, or we would not take if we were in a sober state. Staying within the speed limit, we've already discussed this. Ensuring that your vehicle is roadworthy. There are a lot of companies out there that make sure that before people use or are allowed to take a vehicle out of the organization to use for work purposes, that they actually make sure that there's enough oil in the car, that the windscreen wiper is working, that the indicators are working, the tires are inflated correctly on visual. All right. Those are some of the examples. So you might have to find that when you go to use a vehicle, you are actually asked to please sign a visual checklist in terms of what you see for the vehicle before you can take it out. Then invariably, when you come back in, returning the vehicle, you were actually asked to double check everything again. And you might be asked to do this with a supervisor or somebody of authority. Seatbelts should be worn in the vehicles where supplied. This also is also for children. And please note that children should not be sitting on the front seat of on the passenger's lap or anything like that. Remember, if you have a vehicle that is going 60 kilometers an hour and another vehicle coming from the front and you have a head-on collision, that impact is actually around 100 to 120 kilometers per hour that child is projected out of that vehicle. And the safety belts there are just there to protect individuals. That's why it's so important when you have smaller children to make sure that they are actually in a car seat. Keeping a safe following distance. This is obviously one thing that we, unfortunately, in South Africa, doesn't necessarily happen, because you leave a bit of a gap and somebody's going to sneak in. Please try and keep a safe following distance. The object of this is to make sure that you can stop if the people stop in front of you without hitting the person in front of you. And also take into consideration the road conditions. Is it raining? Is it sunny? Is the road slippery? Etc. Be observant of other drivers' behaviors. In different areas, you will find that people drive differently. And it's not only whether you come from Cape Town or whether you come from Durban or whether you're up in Joburg. It's different styles of driving within the areas as well. I've actually noticed this. If you drive in city centre, for those of us who do from time to time, you will actually find that it's very cutthroat. You've got to know where you're going. Not a lot of people give you a lot of leeway. However, if you're driving in a small town in South Africa and you actually want to turn in, you might find that people give you right of way. So take that into consideration when you're driving. Traffic lights or robots. If it is green, continue. If it is yellow or amber, slow down. If it is red, stop. Now, obviously we have challenges in South Africa where you stop at a red robot, whether it's during the day or in the evenings, and you might find somebody approaching your vehicle which you do not feel safe. Okay? These are other things to consider. That is other risks that you need to consider. Maybe consider taking other roads if you can. Main thing is try and adhere to the traffic signs. Skin cancer is the most common, and there are different types of skin cancer. It presents as an irritation of the skin that doesn't want to heal. Some cancers are lumps underneath on the skin, ulcerations, hard lumps beneath the skin, or a mole changing color or shape. More than 90% are caused by exposure to ultraviolet radiation from the sun. People with lighter skin are obviously at higher risk, and exposure during childhood is particularly harmful. Other contributing factors include tanning beds, genetics, non-healing wounds, alcohol consumption, because it's an increase of risk of sunburn, some medications, and deliberate exposure of the skin that is not normally exposed to sunlight. If you are concerned about your skin, seek professional advice. It is also important to remember that some animals can develop skin cancer, like horses. The sun does have good benefits, as it's a good source of vitamin D, which supports other organs in the body, like the maintenance of healthy bones and teeth, supporting the immune system, the brain, and the nervous system. But again, too much vitamin D from the sun can increase the risk of skin disease. Be careful out there. So let's have a look how we protect our skin. Stay in the shade between 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Cloudy days doesn't mean that your skin's not going to get burnt. Rather, stay in the shade or under an umbrella. Apply sunscreen regularly, at least 30 minutes before you go into the sun, and it should be a factor 30 or more. Reapply sunscreen at least every 2 hours if you're out and about. Remembering to cover your ears, neck, hands, and any other skin that may be exposed. Sun protective clothing to cover exposed skin. This could include tightly woven material like denim or a material that is with an ultraviolet protective factor. Sorry, in South Africa, I did a bit of research, can't find anything, but I do know that Australia and the UK have actually got sun ultraviolet protective clothing. So maybe it's a good idea to look at that. And remember to wear a wide brim hat and wraparound sunglasses to protect those delicate areas of the face. Avoid tanning beds and laying in the sun for long periods of time. Conduct regular checks on your skin. Ask a family member to assist you if you are unsure. And seek medical health practitioners' advice if you are concerned. Littering has a significant impact on the environment, harmful to wildlife. Animals often mistaken harmful materials like plastic for food, which can cause blockages and lead them to die. Water pollution. Toxic water can affect aquatic life and make it unsafe for human consumption. Soil contamination. Hazardous waste leaching into the soil can affect plant growth and in turn into the food chain, which can cause harm to animals and to humans. Air pollution. The release of harmful chemicals into the air that can contribute to air pollution and respiratory problems. Let's look at the recent developments in terms of the LA fires. There have been significant problems with people breathing, and there's been a lot of communication with regards to that on the news and social media. Visual trash. Leaving or throwing trash and rubbish around in public places or spaces is unappealing, which can reduce the value of the potential of the property values, as well as being unsightly, making the place look dirty and uncared for. Ergonomic costs. The cost of cleaning up spills and other hazardous materials is expensive. So what can we do? Let's take responsibility for the waste that we generate and dispose of the items correctly. Spreading of diseases. Litter attracts pests like cockroaches, rats, etc. Also creating a breeding ground for bacteria and viruses, which can increase the spread of disease. By disposing of litter effectively, this can ensure that our lives and our communities are safe. Finding out about responsible disposals of all waste can protect us and the environment, as well as being a law-abiding citizen. Remember, not all waste is biodegradable, and it can take long periods of time to break down, leaving no footprint. How do we prevent littering and the environmental impact? We dispose of waste correctly to protect the environment. Do not contaminate water sources. Will not release harmful chemicals and microplastics into the water and into the soil. Save aquatic life by throwing plastic into bins and so that it doesn't affect the water quality. Does not become a fire hazard. not releasing toxic emissions into the air, not attracting pets and rodents. So how do we do this? Use the appropriate bins to dispose of things correctly. And when traveling, make sure that you've got a packet or something in the car where you can put everything into, and when you have a stop over or rest, then take the stuff and maybe empty the bag or then throw it away. Remember to recycle and reuse as much as possible. So let's have a quick recap on what we've been discussing. Road safety awareness, follow the rules and be aware and be present while on the road, no matter what type of road user you are. Skincare awareness, keep out of direct sunlight and use sunscreen frequently. Stay covered up or stay in the shade. Littering and the environmental impact. Throw all litter away and recycle, reuse where possible. If you have any questions, queries, or challenges, contact OHS&E Management on hashtag department-OHS-admin or chat to your OHS&E officer assigned to your area. Remember to stay safe, healthy, and environmentally aware of what's happening in your area and look after yourself and others. Bye for now.